And now, ladies and gentlemen, time for our next bout of the evening, scheduled 10 two-minute rounds for the vacant Women's Commonwealth Featherweight Championship. And now, please welcome to the ring, Linzi Buczynskij.
I want to be the best out there, and I feel that I can be. I'm working full time, I'm a mother, and I'll still get up at 5 AM, do my runs, finish work, even when it's been a hard day. I'll get in that gym and I'll give it 110%. That's something that you can't teach somebody, built inside you, and that's how I feel that I'm going to win this fight.
Title, the first ever Commonwealth women's title to be fought for on a top-tier Johnny Clark show. It's a big opportunity, this, for Linzi Buczynskij, the Bolton girl who's been in with some of the best as an amateur and as a pro, went the distance with Caris Artingstall last year. Artingstall destined for big things, and this title was formerly in the presence and the possession of Skye Nicholson, who used that and this title as a platform to go and win a world title in recent weeks. Well, that's how big a deal this is for Buczynskij and Amy Andrew tonight.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her opponent to the ring, Amy Andrew.
Exactly the kind of opportunity and title that Amy Andrew has been preparing herself and craving all of her boxing career. Just a few months ago in this very ring, she suffered one of the worst cuts I've seen. George was ringside that night as well. It was only a couple of months ago. She was back in the gym in a matter of a week or so. Be interested to see how that bears up. The unbeaten Andrew, the age of 38, getting the big opportunity against Buczynskij. They are very, very evenly matched in terms of just about everything. Andrew, though, is unbeaten. Not much you can see to choose between them in terms of height, reach. Buczynskij is slightly the younger by 3 years, but in terms of styles, I think they're going to gel perfectly. And I think this is as close as you're going to get to a 50-50 fight. The title very much up for grabs.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout scheduled for 10 two-minute rounds for the vacant Women's Commonwealth Featherweight Championship. Brought to you by Johnny Clark of Top Tier Boxing and their proud sponsors, By Insulation, Think Green Partners, Synergy Direct, and Triple Solar. Your Commonwealth Supervisor, Debbie Down. This bout is sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control, your area representative, Richard Barber, and your inspectors ringside, Des Reese, Alan Spelling, Steve Larman, Terry Fleming, and Gurjit Chana, and your 3 judges scoring ringside, Sean McAvoy, Chris Jones, and Terry O'Connor. Your timekeeper at the bell, John Smith, and the 3rd man in charge of the action in the ring, referee Reese Carter. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you first, fighting out of the red corner. She's wearing the black and purple. Her official weight of 8 stones and 13 pounds. She has a record of 8 fights, 3 losses, and 5 wins. Hailing from Bolton, England, United Kingdom, Linzi Buczynskij. And her opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. She's wearing the black and gold. Her official weight of 8 stones and 13 pounds. She is currently undefeated with 6 wins. Hailing from London, England, United Kingdom, introducing Amy Andrew.
Right, ladies, you spoke in the dressing room, know what I expect. Keep it clean and defend yourselves at all times. Good luck, shake hands.
This is a big fight, this is a big deal for Andrew and Buczynskij. Buczynskij, who's already been the 10 rounds, she's won a Central Area title. How much is that going to bear on this? The prize is within touching distance as we embark on this one. Andy, you've seen both of these in action. I think we're in for a cracker.
It should be a good fight, this, it really should, because both of them as well, when you look at their ages, 38 and 33, it's not like they've got real miles on the clock, but they do need to achieve what they want to achieve in the nearish future. You would say that's certainly true of Andrew at 38, and after a good amateur career, this is the first time she's really been in with proper opposition, you might say, in her pro career against somebody who's going to absolutely throw back and give herself a very, very good chance of winning. So I'm intrigued to see how this one turns out, because as you said, it's a big title. You look at what Sky Nicholson has kicked on to do from winning this.
And they've got similar styles, the pair of them. Initially Buczynskij on the front foot. She's quite happy to box off the back foot, Buczynskij. She got a massive result away in Wales last time up, where she was up against a kind of unbeaten prospect, and she turned over her rival Vicky Perkins on that night. That was a big win for her. That was back in February, around the same time that Andrew was in against Vaida Massiakati, and we were here that night. George got into the 5th round. There was a head clash. It was a brutal cut. That was only a couple of months ago. It'll be interesting to see how that sort of head clash and cut and the scarring and how that bears up over the course of this one.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. Fortunately, it wasn't above the eye or anywhere that you'd conventionally find in boxing. It was on the side of the head, but it was bad. There's been a positive start from Andrews here. She's landed that right hand a couple of times. She's landed the left hook as well.
Very different kind of opponent. Massiakati, really tall, sort of almost around 6 foot. And it was kind of difficult to get inside and get her shots off. Different kind of shape to the opponent tonight for her. And that right hand to head and body starting to work towards the end of that first round. Quite keen and competitive, as you would expect. She's got Pavel Nevdomsky in her corner, and Steve Broughton, a familiar name and figure to us in the boxing world. Andy is in the corner alongside Andrew.
He's proven himself to be a really good coach, Stephen Broughton. I don't think he's really got the credit that maybe he deserves for the work he's done. And you look at the fight he had with Joe Joyce, a few fights he had with Joe Joyce, and he is a good man to have leading a corner, absolutely no question about that. And Frankie Gavin actually just sat over on the far side, just back from the corner. I don't think he's really in the corner, but I think he is here with Amy Andrew. And Frankie in the conversation, you would say, for best British amateur ever. People don't really know him, do they? Because he didn't win a gold in the Olympics, but he was unbelievably good.
Oh, what a talent. What a talent. I saw quite a bit of his pro career. What a jab that was at the start of this one. When there was balance, but Andrew rocked Buczynskij on the back foot, and Buczynskij trying to come back with shots of her own. Might just have been a timing and balance issue, but suddenly Andrew, her eyes went wide with anticipation.
And you have to capitalise on those situations, even if it is your opponent slipping or tripping. You raid in, you land some shots, they're eye-catching punches for the judges to see.
That's it, George, as you say, it's creating the impression for the judges as well.
Those are real big moments in these 2-minute rounds as well, aren't they? Because they can be tricky to score. They really can. Both fighters fit enough to really go at it for the whole of the 2 minutes. I've done a few cast of female fights and I never really looked forward to it, to be honest, because you get a number of rounds that could go either way. So when you've got a big moment like that where everybody can see at ringside that one fighter has been knocked back onto their heels, then it counts for, well, it doesn't count double, but it's significant.
Indeed, big shot, and the biggest of the fight so far. Buczynskij trying to blend her, I think, natural counter-punching stance with trying to lead off and ask a few questions of Andrew, as she's doing there, trying to show variety with the jab. Oohs and ahs from her corner when they perceive she's landed one, and there's a right hand sneaking over the glove from Andrew. I wonder if, as we go along with women's boxing, if actually the pace will maybe start to drop. It generally has been quite frenetic and it's made for great fights, but I wonder as we go along year on year whether maybe actually the tempo and the pace of all of that will kind of naturally drop. Maybe not.
I don't think it will. I don't think it will with the 2-minute rounds, because it just gives us this great spectacle, to be honest, that makes it completely different to men's pro boxing. It gives it its own identity and signature, and I do think that's a good thing.
And of course, Amanda Serrano has been a big advocate of 3-minute rounds. We're not going to go into all of that, but we did see when Serrano fought 3-minute rounds that, and she's been a busy, front foot, aggressive fighter, Serrano, that actually you got a glimpse into the future with that fight of hers. Because if even she was going a bit more relaxed and composed, if even someone like Serrano was doing it, then I think we got a glimpse into the future further down the line of how it will look.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think that there's an assumption that people make that fighters who seem almost supernaturally fit over the 2-minute rounds, the 3-minute rounds will favour them. I don't think it would necessarily. I think the longer the duration, it favours the fighter with the better technique, with the better economy. Because when you see a fight that goes really deep in men's boxing over the 3-minute rounds, very often when it gets really down and dirty towards the end, it is a case to a large extent of who wants it more, but it's often who can hold their technique together just that little bit better.
Here we go then into round 3, and you are already wondering what are going to be the decisive factors in this one. Both Andrew and Buczynskij, they're both busy working mums. Andrew with a 1.5-year-old Miko to juggle and balance in and amongst the boxing training, the job now with the new rival gym in King's Cross, which she's very much part of with her husband. John Duran is part of that as well. He's in her corner tonight. As ever, there's always extended stories. There's so many people that are a part of the extended team and family, either visibly or in the background, George. There's so many people that these nights affect.
Well, I found out in the change room this evening that Amy Adams and her husband had kept the romance a secret in the gym, and it was quite a shocking, I suppose, revelation to Coach Steve Broughton when they said, actually, you're invited to our wedding. But that's boxing.
Yeah, her husband a boxer as well, a pro boxer, so they have to juggle being parents, working, training. I mean, the mind boggles what fighters put into this sport anyway, but when they're trying to juggle everything, and it's exactly the same for Buczynskij. Buczynskij, of course, has that 10-round experience to call on. Andrew went 8 rounds last year against Angelika Oles. We're not there yet, though. Buczynskij looking to get on the front foot. Stabbing a jab up and downstairs. Missed with the right hand, landed it on gloves, but looking to be positive at the start of this fourth round. They did spar once upon a time as amateurs, these two, but both of them saying in the build-up it's so long ago and they're not reading too much into it. But they've both got plenty of experience in the amateur code to call on.
Yeah, I think the tidier work and the more eye-catching shots in this round are coming from Andrews. She's landed a nice left hook to the body, which she's had to find. She had to create that angle to land it. When she has dipped left, she's whipped that right hand over the top and landed. And her guard's been nice and tight, so when Buczynskij has raided, a lot of times she's hit the gloves of Adam. So even though this is super tight, I think I've got to favour Andrews in certainly in this round. The more catching shots.
Buczynskij trying to be positive. There she clipped Andrew with a right hand, a short right hand as well. She is looking to be more positive. She's looking to get off first in this round, Buczynskij.
Andrew's just that bit sharper, isn't she? You look at the hand speed, you look at the just all-round kind of agility. She's just got that edge of sharpness over Buczynskij.
Well, the rounds fly by, don't they? As we're approaching halfway. Just getting a bit rough and tumble inside. Buczynskij just fell over her front foot there, and Andrew was able to counter with a sharp right hand. There, Buczynskij looking for the overhand right.
I mean, Buczynskij's got a nice flow. She doesn't stay still, but her feet being slower than Andrews, she's getting beat to the shot. So Andrews just drops back, comes in with a straight shot, so she has success. Buczynskij, this is where you'd imagine she can have success, so she can close the distance, close the range, try and throw and land them bent arm shots she likes to throw.
As we've been saying, there's not loads in this, but it's that edge in speed, really. Good example there. She just got in with a jab to the body, pulled the feet back out before Buczynskij could really respond. She has to keep the faith here, doesn't she, Buczynskij? Basically, that if she keeps applying the pressure, then she'll get to Andrew, and Andrew will slow down. Now we're into the second half of the fight.
Andrew's happy to play counter-puncher here, try and spy her opportunities. Not quite able to close the gap there, Buczynskij, in that round. I must admit, Amy Andrew was telling me her daily routine in the build-up to this fight is juggling working life with training and having a child. You've got a fellow pro boxer as a husband as well, so all of that to be manipulated and coerced. A 5 a.m. start. She teaches at the King's Cross gym in the morning, training. She does a lunch teaching session, then again in the evening more teaching, mixing it with training, looking after the boy. My goodness me, makes the eyes water. All that goes into it behind the scenes before you even get to this point on the night, where you've got the tension and the pressure, and you've got someone against you who's trying to punch you in the face as well. Who'd be a boxer, George? Who'd do it?
Well, when you when you paint that picture, Alex, then yeah, who would? But
and that's not even bringing the dieting into it.
This is what they live for. This is what we live for. To be under the bright lights, performing and fighting.
And is this the enjoyment? Is this the, I don't know if you call it pleasure, but this is what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, some people live for the ring walk. Some people live for their hand being raised after the fight, and some people live for the battle and the duel that takes place between the four corners.
It's interesting this, because we're into the second half now, and in this round Buczynskij has injected a bit more pace into things, I think. Looking to walk Andrews down a bit more, not really too bothered what she catches on the way in. I know that she's taken that approach in the fight already, but I think there's a greater determination here on her part, because she realises that she's got to slow her down, she's got to get to her, she's got to start landing something on her and get some rounds, because although this has been competitive all the way through, I do think she's behind, and I think she probably realises it.
And of course, with the 10 rounds already in the bank in her locker, Buczynskij at least knows that she might be able to do that. I think she just got through with a couple of bigger shots there. The right hand was one of them, Buczynskij. She might well feel that this is her territory and this is going to be her part of the fight. It's a better round for her, just making it more uncomfortable.
Agreed, she's had a good round here, and I think this is what she needed, just to put some wind in her sails, although she walks onto her right hand there.
That was a big shot, wasn't it? Again, one of the more eye-catching shots of the fight, but wasn't enough for Andrew at the end of that round.
She was still trying to qualify for the Olympics, actually, Amy Andrew, last year. She went to the Olympic trials, didn't she, basically for New Zealand, to see if she could qualify for that first qualifier, essentially. It didn't go her way, and that's been some ride for her, because she was trying to qualify for Tokyo, went to the first qualifier, which they just got over the line before COVID. It got moved from Wuhan, which amazingly was the epicenter of COVID, to Jordan. She went out in that, and then the next qualifier she was scheduled to go to didn't happen. So that Olympic dream, I think now for her, is probably, well, it's finally over.
But it's a good example though of she's tried everything in her career. She's pushed herself, you know. She's gone abroad, she's sparred the likes of Michaela Mayer, you know, you name a female fighter, Amy Andrews probably sparred her. She's given herself just about every chance, amateur and pro, one way or another. I think no stone unturned is probably the phrase that you'd apply, and it's going to be interesting to see how she copes or flourishes with the last few rounds down the stretch in this one, because Buczynskij might just have given herself a, if not a foothold, then a platform in this fight, courtesy of that 6th round.
And she's just got to try and keep that tempo as high as it was in that last round for the rest of the fight, basically.
And that was one of the things when George and I were here back in February for the Andrew against Masiakati fight, against a very different kind of style of opponent. You know, Masiakati's very, very tall for this kind of weight, and Andrew was just a little guilty of holding her feet in range, and it became a bit scrappy. She clipped with a few shots she probably wouldn't have. So that's something to monitor in the second half of the fight. She gets tired. Will the footwork hold up? Will she give opportunities to Buczynskij as we head down the stretch? And naturally, George, you not only physically tired, but mentally tired, and mistakes can creep in.
Well, yeah, so a couple of rounds back, I felt like Andrews was just starting to find her range, find the measure, get her tempo off really well, and then force the fight in her, in her rhythm. And then Buczynskij came out and she had that more active round, forced the pace, landed shots of her own, and then straight away we're back into an even fight where every round is up for grabs.
Certainly Buczynskij's making it more uncomfortable for Andrew now. Back-to-back rounds where she's been able to do that.
Andrew will be extremely confident that she can box this fight out in a really good fashion at a high tempo, but she doesn't actually know.
You always need those tests as you're coming through, don't you? I remember you, George, Kenny Anderson, that was a huge test, wasn't it? Significant test for you at a certain stage of your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes, you know, you have a plan, a game plan as such before a fight, and that has to go out the window, and then you have to either revert to type or just bite down the gum shield or change and adapt within the fight. And I had to get up off the floor that night to eke out a win. Fortunately, I did. But they are the fights that sort of build you and mould you into becoming, hopefully, a champion in the future.
It's getting a bit scrappier, and that may well be helping Buczynskij. And maybe it's because of Buczynskij that it's getting like that. There's a good right hand at the start of the round from Buczynskij.
That was a good spell for Buczynskij off the back of that right hand. I think that moved Andrew a little bit. It definitely registered with her, I think, more than probably any other punch she's taken in the fight has. She wasn't wobbled exactly, but she followed it up, Buczynskij. It was pretty rough, it was pretty crude, but you know, she manhandled her a little bit in the 10-20 seconds after that. This is getting very interesting.
Closing minute of round 8 then. New significant moments perhaps in the destination of this vacant Commonwealth title. Good jab from Andrew, that's the kind of thing that she might need. Again, a jab from Andrew, making Buczynskij miss. Buczynskij throwing whatever she can, wherever she can, when she gets close. Good jab again from Andrew, just getting behind her boxing at the end of that round. Was it enough? She's having to fight her way out of that closing 30 seconds.
What might be eye-catching is the shots you're missing with, and that might be the one that makes you lose the round, because it just emphasises your opponent that they're more accurate with their shots. They don't miss. So you might land good shots, but if you've got to throw 5, miss 4 to land 1, it doesn't quite have the same effect.
And when you get to this stage, you know, you've 2 rounds left. What's the mentality? Well, how's the energy?
Well, we're talking about the mental side of it, and that is what it is at this point. It's in terms of being switched on, because you're asking your body to perform, and you don't want to switch off and sort of fall into a lull. So sharp feet is what's worked for Andrews tonight. She's dropped back and then she'll fire back with straight shots. Head and body, really nice, like she did there.
Yeah, she's boxing well, actually. First minute of this 9th round, really sharp, much more like it from Andrew.
Yeah, this is good stuff from her in the round so far. She just landed 2-3 jabs at the start of the round, and she's looking to try and keep that gap between them and not allow Buczynskij to come in close. Nice 1-2 there, and then pull the feet back out.
And it was a lovely, yeah, as Andy said, it was a right hand 1-2 combination there from Andrew. Really sharp stuff, and having looked a little fatigued, a little ruffled feathers, maybe things just going the way of Buczynskij, though some of the rounds tough to score. This has been a significant response from Andrew. Again, faster hands from Andrew, and she's getting those shots off and then getting away. A cheeky little left hook in close from Buczynskij.
Yeah, that's a really good round for her, isn't it? She boxed well in that round.
Perhaps one of the cleanest rounds of the fight.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think going into the 10th, probably looking at 5-4 or 6-3 for Amy Andrew. I would probably veer a little bit closer to 6-3 than 5-4. But it's still tight, it's still definitely tight, or could be at least.
So she wants to make these rounds as cleanly in her favour, so they're scoring rounds for her. But you know, how do you score a women's bout? How do you score a women's round? Because the boxing is totally different from men's boxing, because it's 2-minute round. It's fast paced, it's high volume, less sort of setup, less craft. We get a lot less knockouts. So is it always just whoever throws the most punches wins the round? We don't know, and it's hard for a judge sitting ringside. He hasn't even got that 3-minute break of who won the first minute and who won the last minute. It's almost like a 50-50. Who won the first and who won the last?
Certainly Andrew's got into a kind of stylistic groove, I think. She's either getting her shots off first and then just taking that little half step or step backwards, or she's countering and then taking her steps backwards. So she's scoring and then getting out of danger. And Andy, she just she's just last round and a bit built a bit of rhythm into her work, almost a bit of confidence, but belatedly.
Yeah, she has, and it's always interesting to see the ebbs and flows of fights. Basically, the first half I felt like she was winning the fight. She had it not completely under control, but she was edging out close rounds. Once we got past halfway, Buczynskij upped the work rate, took it to her, and she kind of obliged Buczynskij and fought her fight for 2 or 3 rounds. Buczynskij made her do that to an extent as well. But then these last 2 rounds, she's just recreated that distance between the two of them, used the jab, used the 1-2, and just not really let Buczynskij close enough to get off. It's been that simple.
It's been quite clever, hasn't it? We wondered who, when the pace dropped or tiredness crept in, who would be able to make it pay. And actually, final couple of rounds, it's definitely Andrew. She was clipped by a right hand, but that's been a rare success in the final couple of rounds for Buczynskij, who had a surge just beyond halfway to give herself a chance. It seems like Andrew might just have snuffed that out at the end of the fight.
Yeah, I'd be confident if I was in that blue corner. I'd be confident. As I say, I would have had her up at halfway, and I think taking those final 2 rounds, even if you gave Buczynskij 6, 7 and 8, and you'd found one for her in the first half, and giving her 6, 7 and 8 is by no means guaranteed, because there were some tight ones. I think you're looking at 6-4, 7-3 there probably for Andrew.
I tell you what, Steve Broughton and the team, John Durant, all the team. She's got a mum, dad, brother's girlfriend, a sister who's about to give birth any day, watching from home, Amy, Andrew, but they'll be absolutely relieved, but delighted, George, by the response. When the pressure was on, when the chips were down, those last couple of rounds, that was a big response.
Yeah, it was an entertaining fight, wasn't it? And yeah, I'm more of the stuffing 7-3 card in Andrew's favour. I appreciate the cleaner shots and the sharp feet, but we'll see what the judges come up with, because as I say, it's hard to judge women's boxing sometimes, and over those 2 minutes there's a lot of action. What are the judges looking for? Are they looking for who's pressing the fight, who's marching forward, who's letting their hands go, or are they looking for maybe the more skillful punches?
This was pretty good. How close was it? How did the judges see it? Let's find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Chris Jones scores the bout 98-92. Judge Terry O'Connor scores the bout 99-91. Judge Sean McAvoy scores the bout 99-91. And your winner by unanimous decision and your new Commonwealth Featherweight Champion, Amy Andrews.
It's amazing for Amy as she clinches the Commonwealth title, and all of that hard work, all of that life work balancing, juggling act has been worth its weight in gold, quite literally. I think George and Andy's leaning towards perhaps a wider score was correct, and maybe slightly worried than I was expecting, but ultimately the cleaner boxing and the big late response from Andrew just sealed the deal.
New Commonwealth champion, just what does that mean to you?
Oh my gosh, absolutely everything. I can't even believe it. I just can't believe it. It feels a bit weird. I'm very excited.
Yeah, when the final bell went, did you feel like you'd done enough to win? Because when you were waiting for the decision, you had a complete poker face.
No, I felt confident throughout. It's just, I think maybe I need to work on my confidence to find that extra little bit that I need to give in the rounds. So I felt like I was in control, but I knew I should have given more to make it a better performance. But I'm very, very excited to win, so I can't believe it.
Yeah, the judges had you winning nearly every round. That's your first time over championship distance. How did it feel going that far?
Yeah, I think it sort of plays on your mind that you have to do 10 rounds, even though I do 10 rounds in my sleep. But when you're in there and you're like, oh, it's 10 rounds, you're like, okay, don't die. But it's a silly way to think, so.
And just sum up your performance in there, and obviously Linzi was a very tough opponent.
She is, and I'm really glad that we can go back to being friends, because she's a lovely girl. Honestly, I just want to thank Steve, because he's a very, very, very talented coach, and only some of the stuff that I've done like is testament to what we worked on. And John as well, who's always been there for me. So yeah, my coaches, it's really them, and that's all I wanted to win for is to do it for them. And obviously Leon, who got me this opportunity and is working really hard. So yeah, I feel like I can do better, but really everything is about them. So yeah, I just wanted to do them proud.
And now you have won this belt. You feel like you're at that level now. What are you wanting next?
That's it. I'm on it. I'm coming for everybody. I just wanted to get this belt and just like be on a place where I felt confidence, and now I'm just coming for everyone. Look out.
Anyone in particular?
No, there's loads of people. Anyone who's got belts, I'm coming for you. I've had like quite a few bouts with people who are up there, like Raven Chapman in the amateurs. I beat her in the amateurs, so it'd be nice to go again in the pros. Yeah.
The opportunities will come. Enjoy that, and great fun as well done.
Wicked. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.